sorry, I'll never do that again. I'll never do that again. Oh, that was creepy. Sorry about that. Today we're going to talk about something a little bit weird, a little bit controversial again. 10 innocent people killed by police. Okay? Yes. The police aren't perfect. But it doesn't give you the right to kill someone that doesn't even have a gun. You know, a cop can only shoot someone if they have a gun. Not if they have a knife, not if they have a baseball bat, only if they have a gun. The job of a police officer is to protect and serve, but that's not always how it goes. Many police officers work hard with the good public. But some use their power to act as sadistic bullies, behaving cruelly without justice in mind. That is so true. Today, we will talk about this sadist bullies and the killers who badges of the authorities to never anyone to you. We'll also hear the stories of people who were treated with cruelty as their voices deserve to be heard. Some of these stories occurred due to malice, while others were simple accidents. They're all tragic, which deserve to be remembered. Number 10, Richard Black Jr. Richard Black Jr. was a 73-year-old Army veteran living with his family in Colorado. Early in 2018, Richard was when a naked man kicked down the door of his home and began strangling his 11-year-old grandson. Naked man. Then the man dragged the boy to the bathroom and tried to drown him. The boy's father attempted to fight the man off, but to no avail. Richard got his gun and shot and killed him, sure, while saving his grandson in the process. When police arrived, Richard was still holding his gun for other possible murders. Police claim that they ordered him to drop the gun. He may not have heard it because his hearing was impaired for service. He was shot 4 times and killed. Police officers who shot Richard received threats after the fact. However, Richard's family released a statement that he disrespectful person carried out Mr. Black's name, contrary to his wishes. 4 times. 4. Number 9, Tamir Rice. 12-year-old Tamir Rice was playing outside by himself. Oh my God, he's pretty young boys too. The neighbor called the police and told the 911 operator that it was quite possible he was the gun. However, this information was never relayed to the responding officers. The police officers, Frank Warback and Timothy Lohan, stepped out to the quick however it took 30 seconds for officers to shoot and kill Tamir. The officers both immediately asked him to check the weapon. Security camera showed both policemen stepping out of their car and shooting the boy seemingly without hesitation. Neither officer was charged with any crime, although he was shot. Who shot Tamir was later fired for lying on his job application without disclosing any number 9 during his job as policeman. The boy being fired for miscommunication. Number 9, Daniel Kevin Harris. Daniel Kevin Harris was deaf and mute, listening to talk, taking an ordinary drive when police tried to pull him over for speeding. Daniel did not pull over, though, and his family suspects that he could not hear the sirens. Of course, he's deaf. Afterward, a nearly 7-mile chase ensued. When Daniel eventually pulled over, he and the officer had an altercation, which led to the officer shooting him. According to the officer, he thought that Daniel was coming at him with a metal weapon. In reality, it was only a metal carabiner keyring, though a sign language interpreter, a deaf man named Sam Harris, commented on the shooting. The police need to become aware of how to communicate with deaf people, what that might look like, and how to avoid situations like this from ever happening again. 1, you're not supposed to shoot someone unless they have a gun. Oh my God, people need to train cops, I swear. I mean, I support them. I mean, I like cops. I mean, they risk their lives to save to protect us, but they use that power, you know. Number 7, Robert Ethan Saylor, Robert Ethan Saylor was a 26-year-old man with Down syndrome. Wow, he lived that long. He would have lived longer if he didn't get shot. While watching a movie with his caregiver, Robert threw a tantrum because he wanted to see the movie a second time. 3 off-duty police officers who worked as security guards for the theater dragged Robert from the seat and wrestled him to the ground. They were so violent with him that Robert's larynx was crushed. He died from potential asphyxia. The caretaker who had escorted Robert to the theater had warned the officers beforehand that Robert would freak out if he was touched. But the man ignored her, and this tragedy was the result. Robert's family received $1.9 million settlement, but the man who killed Robert still walked free. That's what happens when you neglect to listen to someone. You clearly can tell the person is down. Number 6, Darian Hunt. Oh, Darian. Sorry, I'm just kidding. Darian Hunt was cosplaying when someone called the police to say that he was acting suspicious and that he had a weapon. It was a sword. Originally, the police claimed that Darian lunged at them with his weapon when they arrived, and they were forced to shoot him to protect themselves. Darian's family didn't buy this story. They had an autopsy done, which showed that Darian had been shot in the back 6 times. The police changed their story after this. They now stated that Darian had lunged at them and then ran away. They shot him while he was running. They wouldn't have said that until the autopsy shows that he was shot in the back 6 times. So that's how they know you're lying. The videos of the incident did prove that Darian ran, but there is still no evidence that he lunged at them. The police were not charged with any crime. Because the police are never charged with crimes. Okay? Never. Number 5, John Crawford III. During a shopping trip, John Crawford III picked up a BB gun, and a fellow customer called the police. It's a freaking The caller claimed that John was pointing a gun at people, but the security footage seems to disprove this. Police say that when they arrived at the store, they ordered John to drop the weapon. When he did, they shot and killed him. John was 22 years old and had 2 young sons. He was talking to the mother of his children when he was shot. The police were not charged with any crime. The lawyer who represented John's family said, "The family is very upset. They're still grieving, and now it appears that no recourse, and that nothing will be done to the criminal justice system." It's almost like these guys are getting away with murder. Because they're cops. It's because he had a gun. Number 4, Donald. I think it's Donald Thompson, not Donald. Donald Thompson attended classes at a local college for people who have mental disabilities. He was described by his family as sweet, soft-spoken man. For reasons unknown, Donald was lying on the lawn in front of a stranger's house. A neighbor called the police and was concerned that it might be connected to a carjacking that had taken place recently. What has happened to humanity? They were also worried that Donald might have a weapon because they couldn't see one of his hands. You can't see any of my hands, do you think I got a weapon? But this was later shown to be incorrect. When the police arrived, Donald was reportedly unresponsive to their commands. They eventually set off flashbangs explosive nearby. Afterward, Donald took off running in the direction of an armored vehicle. The police claimed that he had his hand near his waistband while he was running. A member of the SWAT team shot Donald twice, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. His family was given $1.5 million in compensation for his death. Number 3, Daniel Shaver. Daniel Shaver was staying at a hotel on a business trip for his Texas pest control company. He had been showing off an air rifle used to exterminate birds. Exterminate birds? Why are we killing birds now? A witness to this called the front desk, and they contacted the police. Charles Langley, one of the responding officers, gave Daniel a series of bizarre and complex instructions. To put his hands on his head, cross his leg, get on his knees while his hands on his head and his legs crossed, and to make his way over to the police. Hold on a second. Okay, so put your hands on his head, cross his legs, and his knees. How are you supposed to? You can't move. I mean, okay. While barking out While barking out the confusing orders, Langley constantly threatened Daniel with death. Langley said, "Listen to my instructions or it's going to become very uncomfortable for you." While the officer was yelling, Daniel was begging for his life. "Please don't shoot me." The officer gave Daniel one final order to crawl toward him while keeping his hands in the air. But Daniel got on all fours and was crawling on his hands and knees. After this, a second officer, Philip Mitchell Rainsford, shot Daniel to death because he didn't listen to your orders. I'm sick of this world. Number 2, Keith Vital. On January 5th, 2014, Keith Vital, 18, was having a schizophrenic episode during which he threatened his mother with a knife. His stepfather called the police. When the first 2 officers arrived, they managed to calm the situation. Everything was peaceful until a third officer named Brian Vasey entered the home. According to witnesses, Vasey said, "We don't have time for this. Tase that kid now. Let's get him out of here." Keith started to run but was tased. While on the floor, the teenager was shot. Keith's stepbrother said, "We're uniting together and we're going to make this go public because the way my brother got treated ain't right. He's schizophrenic. He has schizophrenia. You shot him. He was calm when you got in the house. You tased him and then you killed him." What has happened to this world? And number 1, Ayanna Stanley Jones. Ayanna Stanley Jones was just 7 years old when Officer Joseph Weekly burst into her family home during a botched raid and fatally shot her. The police have been looking for a murder suspect. And you shoot the kid? Weekly claimed that his gun had accidentally gone off after he got into a struggle with the girl's grandmother. Grant, I hope Joseph Weekly isn't white. Ayanna's grandmother stated that she did not fight with the officer. Another policeman backed up the grandmother's story. The raid was being filmed for a television show called The First 48. Ayanna's family believes that the police were more concerned with how they appeared on the show than with doing police work. Weekly was charged with involuntary manslaughter over Ayanna's death. However, even though another officer testified against Weekly, the jurors failed to find him guilty. This led to a mistrial. During a second trial with reduced charges against Weekly, there was another mistrial. The prosecutor decided not to pursue a third trial, and the case was dismissed. This really gets to me. You're gonna shoot a little girl, a 7-year-old girl? All cops get used way too many excuses. Your gun accidentally went off. Bull crap. BS right there. That's some bull. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching. Hit the like button. If you know any other stories, hit the like button down below. The most famous one, which I forgot the guy's name, I'm surprised that wasn't even on here. Thank you all. Peace.